You're live.
Okay. And who is our Georgian Bay Township host this morning?
Our lovely clerk, Karen Way.
Oh, good morning, Karen.
Oh, and there's Dave.
Okay, all right. I know you guys have been trying to get going for some time, and now that Dave is finally here.
My deepest apologies, Mr. Chair.
Uh,
Billy in Collingwood, and it's just 10 o'clock.
Different time zone.
Collingwood too. I've been on here for 5 minutes for crying out loud.
Are you on Eastern time?
Central time. It's only 9 o'clock here.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. And just a question before we start. Do we have any guests or attendees on the call at the moment?
Mr. Chair, we have a list of applicants and members of the public who we will bring in before each application for you.
Okay, and the reason for the question is this description of how the procedure will take place. I think it might be more appropriate if I have a 30-second overview for each of them rather than reading it to everybody that's currently attended here, because you know what the procedure is.
Yeah, so everyone, all of the members of the public who are in right now can hear you right now. You just can't see them yourself. But there are some members who I believe, or members of the public who I believe will be coming in a little later for the last application. So however you'd like to proceed.
Okay, all right. No, I just was trying to understand how that works. So if that's the case, then I'd like to welcome everybody. Good morning. My name is Tom Hill, and I'll be chairing today's meeting. And this morning there's a meeting, a public meeting scheduled for 3 minor variance applications. I would briefly summarize the procedure to be utilized this morning. First, the Secretary Treasurer will advise the committee as to when, how, and to whom notice of each of the hearings was circulated for the applications being considered. Next, each of the applications will be considered separately. Planning staff will advise of the purpose and effect of the applications and provide any other information that is relevant. The Secretary Treasurer will summarize any correspondence on file, and from there, the applicant can make a brief presentation if they so choose, and the public will have the opportunity to speak to the application being considered. After the public forum, the applications will be brought before the committee, who will then deliberate on the proposed application and consider motion to either pass, defeat, or defer the decision for the application. This morning's applications are A20-27 for 1028 Hungry Bay Road, A21-01 for 524 Haskets Drive, A21-02 for 93 Lagoon Road. Before we begin, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none, I will read the resolution to adopt the agenda. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment adopts the agenda dated February 12th, 2021. I have a motion by Mike Ferguson, seconded by Dave Matthews. All those in favor? The motion carries. Okay, our first application this morning is A20-27 for 1028 Hungry Bay Road. To the planner, please.
Through you, Chair, I just have to say my little spiel there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay. Nope.
Okay. Before we begin, I would ask the Secretary Treasurer to advise if there's been any written correspondence received from the public on any of these applications.
Okay, so notice of each of the application was sent by first-class mail to the respective owners and assessed persons within 120 meters, 500 meters, or 800 meters, and to those persons and agencies likely to have an interest in the application. The notices were sent at least 20 days prior to this morning's meeting. Included in each notice was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the application and a key map showing the location of the property. Other relevant information may have also been provided. These circulations were provided in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act 1990.
Okay, thank you very much. And we will move to our first application, which is A20-27 for 1028 Hungry Bay Road. To the planner, please.
Good morning, everyone. And Mr. Chair, I have brought in the applicant and 2 members of the public, just so you're aware, so they are in the meeting already.
Thank you.
Just starting the PowerPoint here. Can I get a nod or 2 that everyone can see the screen?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you very much. So our first application here is, as the chair mentioned, A20-27, related to lands located at 1028 Hungry Bay Road, which is located on 6 Mile Lake. The applicant is Paul Black, and the overall purpose of this application is to facilitate the construction of an addition to an existing dwelling, which does require the following relief from the zoning bylaw: a maximum lot coverage within 60 meters of the shoreline of 10.5%, where 8% is permitted, as well as a maximum dwelling width of 15 meters, where 8 meters is permitted. The existing dwelling is located greater than 20 meters from the water currently and has an existing dwelling width of approximately 13.5 meters. So again, just an overview in table format from our notice of the 2 listed provisions that are seeking relief through this application. And again, just to mention that here, I was muted there for a sec. Can everyone hear me? We're good? Perfect. Thanks, Stephen. I can see your...
Sorry, Victoria. There's a really bad echo when you're speaking.
Oh. Let me try and...
I'm not getting an echo here.
No, is it just me? Okay.
I'm not getting any echo.
No, I'm fine.
Just you, Karen. Thanks, everyone. I wanted to mention here, just as a reminder to committee, so on 6 Mile Lake, there's 2 lot coverage provisions that apply. So there's the lot coverage that applies to the entire lot area, and there's also this lot coverage that applies to only the lands within 60 meters of the frontage. So in this case, for this property, the only lot coverage that they are seeking relief on is within that 60 meters. Their total lot coverage, they are well below the 8% that is permitted. But again, we'll talk about that when I get to the site plan. So here is the general location of the subject lands off of Hungry Bay Road. As you can see here, it's right at the end of Hungry Bay, to the west of the main road here that is the most traveled portion. So here we have an aerial image from 2018. And again, as you can see, the lot lines of this property pinch towards the water. And this is really what is causing the 2 provisions that are being sought today for relief. When it comes to dwelling width here, again, as you can see, the frontage tapers in towards the water, which is causing quite a small number of that 15% to apply, as well as, again, the 60 meters of lot area essentially comes right in behind where the existing garage is. So as you can see, the majority of the lot area for this lot actually is to the rear. So that's where the numbers get a little skewed, and just some context as to why the application really is required here in front of committee today. So here we have an overview of the site plan in general to see the structures. And I'm sure for those who did visit the site, there is also, I believe there's 2 tent garage type of structures back in this area that you may have viewed. So those structures, staff are aware of them. They were part of the overall lot coverage calculation, and it does not affect the number. So they just weren't noted on the site plan, but staff are aware in case any of you were curious. So here I have a zoomed in photo of what exactly is being proposed. So as you can see here, this dotted line is the portion of the cottage that's actually existing. So really what the applicant is looking to do is have a 2nd story addition on this portion of the cottage with adding about, I believe it's 4.9 feet out a little further in width. So they are asking for a bit further in width than what exists. And again, still as you can see here, their total front yard setback is still well beyond the 20 meters, even with the proposed screen room to be placed in front. So here I have some elevations of what's being proposed. So as you can see here, this is essentially the existing dwelling here. where there is a screened porch here that does exist, but it will be rebuilt. So the only area that the second story portion is being proposed is on this side. And really, it's the intent of the owner to essentially put one more bedroom on top and I believe another bathroom. And then so here we just have some side elevations of the proposed development. And then here are some photos. So again, looking from the driveway towards the water. So this area here is what is proposed to be rebuilt. So this would essentially come up into a second story. And here we're looking at the cottage from the water towards the cottage. So again, that second story addition would essentially be right in this area here, with about another 4.5 to 5 feet extended out to the side. And again, just a closer view of the area of the dwelling to be rebuilt. And another one. And this is a view from where the proposed addition is to be placed, looking towards the neighboring property. As you can see, there is some mature vegetation with a relatively substantial dwelling to the west, who I believe have written in with no concerns for the proposed application. And again, just showing the mature vegetation that does exist between the addition and the existing neighbor. So in summary, planning staff are of the opinion that the subject application as submitted does conform to the district official plan, the township official plan, and is in line with the general intent of the zoning bylaw. We do believe that it is considered minor in nature and that the application is in overall the general public interest. So we do believe it does meet the 4 tests as submitted. 2 letters of support were received. And planning staff are recommending approval of the application subject to the conditions stated in the recommendation in front of committee today. And here's just an overview. Again, typical general conditions that you're used to seeing now, committee, with the addition of, as part of the site plan application, staff are just looking to see proof from the licensed septic installer regarding the septic system that what is being proposed can conform. So just so we ensure that when they come in for their building permits, that everything is good to go and they don't have to come back for any type of additional approvals. So that's the application in summary. If you have any questions for myself or the owner, please feel free to ask. And again, Mr. Chair, I believe there's 2 gentlemen, Mr. Wilson and Mr. Dowse, who are members of the public. So they may have comments to provide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Victoria. Madam Secretary, have we received any correspondence on this application?
2 letters of support were received from Greg and Jeannie Wilson and Jane Pasquale.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant like to add any further comment to what Victoria had to say about this application? Is the applicant present?
Oh, hi, it's Paul Black. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you very much. This is first time doing this. It's very interesting. Thanks for all your support. The one thing I have is I don't know if it's in the file there, the septic system has been approved for the extra bathroom and bedroom that I was looking for. So just basically looking to be a full-time residence up there with my triplets and trying to get a second bathroom so we can all be happy up there. So that's what we're looking for. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any member of the public wish to comment on this application?
No, I think it's Peter Dowse. Paul, that looks fine to me. Hopefully you're happy with an extra bathroom.
God knows he needs it.
Okay. Are those 3 additional girls that you have there?
Oh, you're gonna laugh some more. So my kids were born on April Fool's Day, all naturally, and 2 identical girls and a boy.
Oh,
so they're gonna be 24 this April Fool's Day. So it's getting better.
That is marvelous.
So yes, desperately need a second bathroom.
Okay. Okay, if there are no further comments from the applicant or the public, I will close the public section and bring the applicant before the committee for any questions or comments.
Mr. Chair, is there something from Greg Wilson? I see he's on there and he hasn't.
Oh.
Okay, if Mr. Wilson can hear us and would like to offer any comment, this please go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, his microphone is muted, I think.
There it is.
Can you hear me now?
There we are.
Oh, good. So I'm Greg Wilson, and my wife Jenny and I are next door neighbors on the lake. We're at 1042 Hungry Bay Road. And I had written a letter by email in full support for the application. I've talked to Mr. Black about it, and I think it's very reasonable. And that's the essence of it. We're right next door to him, and we feel that it won't have any adverse effect on us at all, and are in full support.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson, for taking the time to join the meeting, and we do appreciate your comments. And thank you, Mr. Demke, for making sure we didn't miss him. So again, I'll bring the application before the committee for any questions or comment, and we will begin with Member Demke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions I had. No mention of putting the addition on that it's in violation of any height restrictions. Because there's no, the original property doesn't have that height.
So through you, Chair, to Member Demke, so the proposed addition is in conformance with all of the height provisions within 6 Mile Lake. Because it is so far back already, it has the ability to go up to that full 8 meters that the OSR 6 zone provides.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Thank you, Victoria. The other was when I was there, I noticed that there were a line of poles or sticks right by the, I guess, indicating where the add-on was going to be. That sort of is right on the driveway. And I didn't know whether there's 2 trees, I think, just to the right. And I don't know, that'd be a narrow driveway, or are those trees going to be removed? There's one of the pictures shows them there.
Through you, Chair, that might be a question that Mr. Black would be able to provide.
Right. I could remove them if you want. I've taken some trees out because just of being age and being close to the cottage, but just like Mr. Wilson next door, I try to keep as many trees in as possible for shade and just the viewing of the cottage. But I can always park my car further back if I have to. So that is, that's not an issue. They can be taken down if the township would want me to. I'd like to leave as many trees in the property as possible. But I'm agreeant with anything that you're looking for in that aspect.
Yeah, well, it's more of just a question because it seemed to me there would be a very narrow driveway to there, but there's lots of room to park. You got the garage in behind as well. So it was more of just a question. I like the idea of keeping the trees if you can. Other than that, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Member Demke. I'm sorry, somebody have a comment?
Mr. Black.
No, go ahead. I'm fine leaving all the trees, so that would be preferable for my situation.
Okay, thank you. Member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, it seems pretty straightforward to me. I would just like to make a comment to staff, particularly about the addition to the septic system inspection. Very much appreciate that. As you know, that's been sort of I wouldn't say a bugaboo, but a concern of ours for many years. And I applaud you for putting that into one of the terms. And I'm also glad that Mr. Black has had it inspected and it's passed. So that's about all I have to say on this application.
Thank you. Member Coutier.
Sorry, my mouse wasn't cooperating with me. I think most of the questions I have already been asked, and so I appreciate that. I don't know if the township should contemplate any sort of policy that if anybody has triplets, they should get what they want in building, because I admire somebody who can, raise triplets. And also, just as a general comment, Mr. Black, the more trees, the better. We will never discourage somebody from keeping trees or planting more. It's quite the opposite. So please keep as many trees as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Kuchar. Member Caddo.
You're muted, he's muted. You need to unmute your microphone. There you are.
You got me now? Okay, yeah, no, I'm in support of this. I have no questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Member Ferguson.
I don't have any problem with it. Just a couple of things. Hungry Bay Road's a long road. Part of it is maintained by the township, and then it becomes a private road. And that was plowed nicely. And then, Mr. Black, you actually cut off of Hungry Bay Road on Mitchell Road to get to your cottage. And that was plowed, and you bumped out part of the driveway. So it was really easy and safe to get and inspect your property, which is what we really like to see during winter inspection conditions. So thank you very much. And not only that, once we did access the property, it was staked properly. You could see exactly what you had intended to do. And that makes our job an awful lot easier. You know, the thing is, you've only got 100-foot frontage at the front and a lot more land at the back, which within that 60 meters does make life interesting for you. But I have no concerns, and I'm in favor of this application.
Thank you, Member Ferguson. Member Jarvis.
Yes, I'm generally in favor of this. I do have a question for Victoria. We talk about setbacks and the width of the property within the setback that's there. How far back would you have to go to be within requirements for our setbacks and building width?
So through you, Chair, to Member Jarvis. So, and sorry, do you recall how far back he would have to be so he wouldn't need these requirements?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to dwelling width, I'm just going to share my screen again because it's easier to show you with a mouse than explain it.
Yeah.
So as you can see here, so this tapering here, right, for him to not require the dwelling width provision anymore, the dwelling would have to likely be significantly far back, close to where his septic is located. Right. This here is 23 meters, I believe. So he'd be looking at 40 plus meters back to gain that dwelling width, that little extra to maintain the 15%. When it comes to the lot coverage within this 60 meter line, that for him to meet that 8%, he would likely have to, move his garage back, likely even move, frankly, the cottage all the way back as well. I think given the circumstances of the property and how much further back he would need to gain extra space, we'd be looking at some significant site alteration and, moving a structure that's been there for a long time. And I actually, being on the site and looking at the aerial, he's actually probably the furthest back cottage in the entire bay. So I think, asking them to move that much further back and ripping out a septic system, I think would be significant in this case.
Small project. I'm not proposing that at all. I was just curious. The only other question I had was with regards to massing on property with the other outbuildings. Obviously, there's no issue there, correct?
Correct. It is staff's opinion that the overall lot coverage, I think he ends up being at 6.5% out of 8. Okay. That staff have no issues. And also just to provide some additional comment based on those trees, just so committee is aware, through that site plan agreement requirement, we will ensure that every tree that can be saved will be saved. So we will work with Mr. Black on those trees off the driveway. So just some reassurance there for committee.
Thank you. No other questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Member Jarvis. Having heard all the questions and comments, I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves the minor variance application A20-27 to zoning bylaw number 2014-75 for 1028 Hungry Bay Road to permit a maximum lot coverage within 60 meters of 10.5% and a maximum dwelling width of 15 meters to facilitate the addition of an existing dwelling, subject to the following. A, that municipal taxes be paid to date. B, that a site plan control approval application be submitted and approved, and that a site plan agreement be executed detailing the proposed development and the preservation of vegetation protection areas within the front yard, as well as provide a proposed septic system location from a licensed septic installer to ensure that it meets the requirements of the building code. And C, that approval of this variance is granted and fixed to the subject site plan, extent, location, scale, and use contemplated in the application. And D, that approval of this variance expires 3 years from the date of decision if building permits have not been issued for the approved structure. I have a motion to approve from Colin Caddo, seconded by Bill Demke. Could I have a show of hands of all those in favor, please? Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Black. Your application is approved.
Thank you very much, committee. I really appreciate that. Thank you again.
Our next application this morning is A21 -01 for 524 Haskets Drive. To the planner, please.
We're just making sure that the applicant and their agent are in here. Okay, great. So our next application is A21-01. So this was submitted by Lou. I apologize, Lou. I'm going to probably say your last name wrong. Marcantonio of 2M Architects on behalf of the property owner, John Lorenco. So the property is located at 524 Haskets Drive, again on 6 Mile Lake. The purpose of this application is to facilitate the construction of an addition to an existing dwelling, which requires the following: a maximum dwelling width of 18.9 meters, where 15.47 meters is currently permitted. And again, just to note that the existing dwelling is located 26 meters from the water and has an existing dwelling width of 12.3 meters. So again, just to clarify, because I know committee sees these provisions in a table form, again, they're looking for relief from that 25% maximum dwelling width. So it would be 18.9 meters, where again, they were allowed the 15. So here we have the map of the subject lands. As you can see here, it's located just to the east of 6 Mile Lake Provincial Park. And it has similar shoreline residential properties located to the south of it. So it's the closest privately owned property within this inlet bay. So here we have an aerial image of the subject lands. And as you can see here, it is accessed off of Haskets Drive. So here we have an overview site plan with the original survey with the cottage that is existing here located. And again, you can see that it is located greater than 26 meters from the water currently. And the hatched area here is the location of where the addition is going to go. So where the proposed addition is located is further away than what currently exists. So here are some sketches that the architect provided as part of the application. So in general, here's the existing cottage, and the addition area that they're looking to add is essentially, again, a bedroom and a bathroom, and again, a hallway to connect to the existing cottage. And then here we have a rendering of the elevation. So again, here's the existing cottage, and then the proposed addition area, the bedroom and bathroom. And as you can see here, the existing roof line staying relatively similar, with actually a little bit lower of a profile. But again, building height is not part of this application. So planning staff were actually unable to conduct a site visit in time of this meeting, we did attempt, I believe, once or twice, and unfortunately due to weather, we were not able to safely access the site, and therefore we are recommending deferral at this time from committee till an appropriate site visit can be completed, so then we can provide an appropriate policy review and recommendation to committee. We received one letter of no objection at the time that the report was written. And again, in Development Services Report 2021-18, we recommended deferral of the application at this time. The applicant and their agent are on the call if you have any specific questions about what is being proposed, and staff look forward to reviewing the full application when we're able to get to site and bring this back to committee, hopefully at the next meeting with a recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Madam Secretary, have there been any correspondence on this application?
I have here that no correspondence was received. I don't know if Victoria, if you could state who sent the no objection letter. I don't have that information.
I can pull it up. It might take me a second because I'm out of the server, but Mr. Hill, Mr. Chair, if you want to continue, and I can get you that information.
Okay, thank you very much. Now you mentioned the applicant is present, and is there anything that you would like to add to the comments that the planner has made so far? If so, please identify yourself and go ahead.
Good morning, it's John, and my wife Tony is beside me here. Just nice to virtually meet everyone. I just want to apologize about the access issue. Our sincere apologies. We don't visit the cottage in the winter time. We've got quite a long driveway, and with all the snow and freeze and thaws, it would have been not practical to have it plowed for you to visit. So our sincere apologies. Just looking for your approval on this very modest addition. We have a very small 800 square foot cottage that we use with our family. Two small bedrooms and a bathroom right in front of the kitchen. So just looking for a modest extension there to improve our enjoyment. So, and the reason why we're going wide as opposed to extending it is there's a granite outcropping right beside our house that has a grade to it, so that's not practical for us to go that way.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lorenko. Is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on this application?
We had no registrations for members of the public to attend today.
Okay, so it was just the applicant then, Victoria? Okay, well.
No, I think the contractor is there. I don't know if you wanted to ask him anything.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this application before we?
Yeah, Lou Marcantonio. I'm helping John and Tony with their addition, and we also happen to be their neighbor at 538. And I believe the letter of support was from our kids who technically own the cottage. So I'm at their mercy to let me use it. So I think it's a modest addition. I've been in the cottage. It's pretty small in there. The bedrooms are very tiny, and they do have two kids, and their kids are getting older, and they bring friends, so they do need a little bit more room. I think overall, in terms of view from the lake, when the trees are in, I don't think you see much of this. We certainly don't see it from our side. So yeah, I hope it's a modest thing. I think we offered to use the driveway, but I know that our driveway we share with Mr. Praxel, and he lives there all year. I'm sure you guys all know Mr. Praxel. But it turns, and the part that goes from the main driveway to ours is not plowed, so you probably couldn't get in there anyway. So we tried, but yeah, we're hoping. When would the next hearing be then?
That hasn't been determined yet, but once if in fact the application gets deferred, the planning department will be back in touch and find a suitable time to do a site inspection and then schedule it from there.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marcantonio, for your comments. If there are Are there any other members of the public or any final comments from the applicant before we bring the application before the committee? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public section of the meeting and bring the application before the committee for questions or comments. And we will begin with Member Kutsier.
Well, thank you very much. From what I've seen, I don't think I would have any issue with this application, but lacking an ability to visit or to see even any pictures, I can certainly appreciate having an 800 square foot cottage can seem a little small, because frankly, I have a cottage just under 800 square feet, and we keep talking about putting an addition on it, as Victoria knows. And so it looks, well, to me, it all looks very reasonable, but I think in fairness to the planning staff and to this committee, we need to have a little bit more information in order to say yay or nay. And two, the one question, our committee of adjustment meets monthly, usually the second Friday of the month. And so therefore, if a visit can be arranged in the next week or two, I don't doubt the planning staff would be able to bring this application forward next month. Otherwise, as you can, given the once a month schedule, it's whatever we can work out within a couple of weeks before the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Kuchar. Member Jarvis.
Yeah, I find that I have the same reasons for supporting the planning department and the deferral on this. I'll take it even a step further. My preference is to be able to see these things without snow, because that's what most people are going to be looking at, since most residents are not up until the snow is gone and the ice. And that is usually my preference. Again, as with Member Kutsier, I see no fundamental issue with the addition itself. It's modest, yes, on a modest cottage. I too have a small place, and I'm trying to get an addition on that as well, as the planning department knows. Again, I have no fundamental disagreement with what's going on here. I just would like to see the ability to be able to see this place when the snow's gone.
Thank you, Member Jarvis. Member Ferguson.
Again, I'm familiar with this part of 6 Mile Lake. I have no objection. It is a modest addition that Mr. Lorenko is proceeding with. However, I do support that we do a deferral until we have an opportunity to get on site. When that's going to be, I don't know. There's a lot of snow around up here, and you know, by foot trying to trudge down your laneway would be very interesting. And because of the melting and snowing procedures, it's not a great area to go with a snowmobile. I thought I could get down there with my snow machine, but the snow's pretty deep, and if it were to bog down, I'd be in real trouble. So I support the deferral.
Okay, thank you, Member Ferguson. Member Caddo.
Yeah, I support the deferral. Victoria, if you get in there soon, you're still going to need your snowshoes, so shine them up.
Thank you. Member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would agree with my previous members, although unlike Member Kuchar and Jarvis, I'm not looking to put an addition on my cottage, but just a new dock. So no, I agree with everything that's been said so far, and look forward to the opportunity of seeing this site.
Thank you, Member Matthews. Member Demke.
I agree with all the comments of the members so far. Deferral looks like it's in order.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions or comments, I will read the resolution.
I think Member Kuchar has a...
Chair Hill, actually, there was one thing I wanted to inquire of our planning department, and that is when I looked at the plan, it appears that the septic system is in front of the cottage, like closer to the waterfront, and that's not in front of us, but I presume that has already had some, has that been grandfathered, that position? And that's why it's not in front of us?
So through you, Chair, that's correct. And the building department has reviewed, and they had no comments in regards to the location, et cetera. They believe the fixtures look like the daily design flow is appropriate. I'm just reading them off here. They will have to do a change of use for one of their accessory structures just to update the actual use of the structure versus what it was historically set out as when the original approval for the septic went through. But they've been in contact with the building department. We have as well. Planning have no concerns that they won't be able to safely and environmentally, respectfully use the existing septic system.
All right, thanks very much. And I apologize, Chair Hill, for the interruption.
Not at all, sir. Having reviewed the application, I have before me a recommendation. I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment defers the minor variance application A21-01 to zoning bylaw 2014-75 for 524 Haskets Drive. This motion is moved by Peter Kutzer and seconded by Bill Demke. All those in favor, please raise your hand. The motion is carried. The application is deferred. Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Chair.
Member Matthews.
Thank you. I was just wondering, for those of us that don't live close to Haskett Drives, how will we know when there's enough snow disappeared that we could make a site visit? Will planning department advise us? Thank you.
I'll let them know. I'll be honest and say I doubt there'll be access in March, so probably early April, but I'll be in communication with Victoria. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Have a good day.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next application is A21-02 for 93 Lagoon Road. And Victoria, can you tell me if any members for that hearing are in attendance?
Mr. Chair, yes, Brad's just letting everybody in now. I believe we have a mix of owner, a few of the agents on behalf of the owner, construction, et cetera. And I believe one or two may be members of the public as well, but we'll be able to clarify after Brad makes his presentation.
Okay, well, we'll certainly do that. So is everyone that was expected in attendance as we speak?
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. And welcome to the Committee of Adjustment. Our next application is A21-02 for 93 Lagoon Road. To the planner, please.
Morning, everybody. I'm just going to bring up the presentation here. Can everybody? Oh.
Yes, we can see that.
You can see it? Perfect. Okay, so the next application to be heard is minor variance application A21-02. The application was submitted by Ian McDonald of Ian McDonald Architects on behalf of the property owner, Sarah Paul. The application is requesting variances to facilitate the construction of a replacement dwelling with increased setbacks to the high water mark. So this table just summarizes the different requests that the applicant has made. So they are requesting a reduced front yard setback of 15.71 meters, an increased building height of 8.22 meters, and an increased eave projection of 2.31 meters. Here we have a location map of the subject property shown here in gray. It is in the southern portion of Go Home Lake, just north of the Go Home Lake Marina, which is located here. Here is the 2018 aerial imagery of the property outlined in red. The site survey provided by the applicants with their application. You can see the outline of the existing dwelling shown here in the light gray with the replacement dwelling shown in the hatching. We've included some elevation drawings of the proposed replacement dwelling, looking at it both from the side and from the water, being the front elevation. So there were 3 letters of support that were received as a result of the circulation of notice. Planning staff are recommending deferral of the application until a site visit can safely be completed. And that's all I have this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Brad. Madam Secretary, have we received any correspondence on this application?
3 letters of support were received from Joel and Lisa Wright, Angelo Gravina, and Dragon Ivic.
Thank you very much. I noticed that we have a contingency here from the applicant. So I'm certainly, we will have time to hear anybody who wishes to comment on the application. So first of all, either the applicant or his representative, if you'd like to add any further comments to what Brad had mentioned in his presentation, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's Ian McDonald. Is my voice coming through?
Yes, coming through clear. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I just wanted to make a few comments using the structure of the planning report as a guide. With reference to the planning report, first is site characteristics. The report identifies that the property appears to be well treed and the majority of natural vegetation between the existing dwelling and the shoreline appears to be maintained or retained. This is true. We're not taking anything out down there. Our proposal does maintain all natural vegetation between the existing dwelling and the shoreline, and only 3 trees will be removed, 2 small white pine and 1 slightly larger red pine within the footprint of the building. I would point out as well that we are constructing the building on piers that will allow the existing root structure of all the trees in the surrounding area, which is very densely treed, to be maintained and unaffected by the new construction. Under the category planning analysis, the report acknowledges that we are improving the setback from the water by 2.15 meters or 16% over what is currently there with the existing building. So we're moving it, our setback will now be 15.71 meters or 51.5 feet. The report acknowledges that we have obtained a building permit for the installation of a new septic system to service the proposed dwelling. And the report confirms that planning staff are reserving a recommendation to the committee pending completion of a site visit. It is our hope that we today can share detailed photo documentation of the site that will allow you to make an informed decision in spite of the lack of this site visit. We had the property plowed right up to the top of the hill, but the stairs were not navigable in the view of members. So we apologize for that. It is a difficult time of year and there has been a fair bit of snow lately. So I'm sorry you couldn't get down to see it. With regard to the variances, there are 3 variances being requested here that we require in order to build this project. The first is with regard to front yard setback. And I would point out that the need for this variance is related to the topographic character of the existing site. And in light of the fact that we are improving the setback substantially over the setback of the existing building on the site that has existed for over 60 years. And as we are citing the existing building face with 10-foot less building width than is currently there as viewed from the water, we're moving the building north by 15 feet, but it is 10 feet shorter than the existing one. And it is more substantially screened by the dense red pine forest in that area. We feel this represents a substantial improvement. With regard to building height, that's the second variance that we need. we'd like to point out that the regulations are designed to permit a two-story building plus a roof. We are proposing to build a minimal two-story building without a visible roof. It has a flat roof on it to minimize its building bulk as viewed from the water. And the only reason it exceeds the height limit in the bylaw is that it sits by necessity on a granite bench that is a function of the site condition. As the intent of the height limitation is to prevent buildings from exceeding the tree canopy, we've got some photographs I'd like to go through. Brad, I guess you can put those on at some point. You'll see that we are well within the existing tree canopy with this proposal. Our building sits less than half the height of the trees that are surrounding it. As well, our variance, we're permitted to have an 8-meter height. We're applying for 8.22 meters of height, of which 1.8 meters of that is the site coming up. We're sitting on a little cliff. And so if you took that out, our building is only 6.5 meters high. So I think this is one of those technical variances that really, is reasonable to grant. With regard to the eave projection, given that the eave projection has very little physical presence, we feel that this is a minor issue. It's just one section of roof that extends its eave on a flat roof. So you'll see the 6-inch fascia board, and that's about all you'll see. With regard to phosphorus mitigation, I noted that was referenced in the planning report. We have applied for a new septic system with more capacity than required, and it is located uphill on flat land, approximately 40 meters from the shoreline at closest. Also, as a matter of controlling stormwater runoff, we are considering the possibility of installing a green roof system, which would mitigate the stormwater runoff and hopefully limit the one mitigation factor in the phosphorus issue there. We have 3 letters of support. 2 of them are from the abutting landowners on the north and south, right next door. And in terms of the tests, about appropriateness, we feel this is appropriate. It's very quiet as viewed from the water. It is minor, as I've described in each of the cases above, and it is within the intent of both the official plan and the zoning bylaws of Georgian Bay Township. So, Brad, could we look through the photos just so people can see what we're looking at a little more fully? It was document number 4, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So
I've shared my screen with all of them, and I can just go through them.
You can go through.
As you'd like. Yeah.
Okay.
Just let me know when you want me to change the page.
Okay. This is from the point where you arrive in the car. This is the house as you see it as it drops down the hill. Maybe go to the next slide. This you've already shown, but it's the location of the site, just around the corner from the marina. Next slide. Okay, so this is the existing view from the water as you see it. And currently, Brad, perhaps you could point out the south end of the addition that is being removed. That is visible from the water. That's the existing cottage that's there. And the image below that is showing the proposed, the white dotted outline of the proposed, which is moves further north and is dark in color and will be recessive and practically invisible from the water. That's what you'll see from a boat along the shore. Next slide. This is showing us the existing conditions. On the axonometric drawing on the left, you can see the descent one needs to take to move from the parking place of arrival on the site down to a bench upon which the existing cottage sits. We're proposing to locate the new building or the replacement structure in essentially the same place. The photographs show the top left photograph shows the basically 2 stories of of height that you have to descend to get down to the cottage. The photo to the right of that shows the piece that's the 1.8 meters that's taking us above the height limit for the building, because the building hovers over that, and the dimension is taken down to the ground on the, I'll just show here, it's taken down to this line where the building doesn't start until here. So, you know, we have 6.5 meters of building above that, and that it's in my view, that makes it a technical variance. You can see the density of tree cover around the existing building, which we are leaving almost entirely intact, except for 3 small pine trees. Next view. This shows the cottage, the existing cottage, as viewed from just up from the shoreline. You can see you're basically existing in a forest. There's a cliff face that you have to climb. The photo at the bottom left down here is the view of the existing site as you arrive from the car. You walk along and go down the stairway here. It's the stair that wasn't shoveled adequately to make it safe for the committee. So again, apologies for that. Next slide. So this shows if we are taking the building that is currently here and we're moving it further behind this body of tree planting here. And as our image from the water showed, it will be virtually invisible from the water. Next slide. That's the little piece of rock that you can see for sitting on by the shore. You can see the existing cottage again. This portion of it here is being demolished, and the new building is moving further to the north, to the left. It will be a color similar to the tree bark, so it will be recessive and harder to see. Next slide, please. Next slide. That's my dog Scout there. So you see when the building moves over behind this area, it's harder to see. Now, I guess that's not a view you'd get if you got down to the lower part of the site in any event, but that is what it looks like from the water. Next slide, please. So this is the existing configuration of the building on the site. Point of arrival up here from the car, entry and descent down the stair here, and then the building. And the next slide, Brad, please. So this shows that, that part of the building is being eliminated. We're moving the building north further behind this body of trees. And next slide. This shows the structure, the green roof. Again, you can see there's less presentation of building face to the water. Again, the darker color will help it recede further into that landscape. Next slide. This is the upper floor. The point of entry is from this balcony, or there's a walkway and a porch. You enter here, and we have bedrooms on this level, and you descend from here down to the next slide, please. The main level. The roof that requires relief because of its eave projection is this one here, this dotted line. It's a very slender element that has very little presence as viewed from the water. Next slide, please, Brad. Elevation, next slide. That's the water side. This is a little space that, because of the topography, we've created a little place of occupation outside that is not on the water side. It's sort of using and celebrating the beauty of the hill landscape that's there. Next slide. That's all you see when you come in the car is the topmost part of the roof. Next slide. Okay, these are renderings of what it will look like as viewed from the top. The client hasn't decided for sure whether or not to put a green roof on, although it is possible, and we're encouraging that. I think from a runoff point of view, it would be helpful. You enter along this walkway here into the cottage from the point of entry. Next slide. This is standing on that porch overviewing the water. This is the little deck area down here. And next slide. This is the rock face viewed from the south, looking toward the north. The cottage, with its color and site location, is really buried in the trees. Next slide. And this is a view of it. You can see the outline vaguely here. I presume you can see that. But it's very quiet. It's tucked into the trees, and we hope that by showing the density of the landscape between the waterfront and the building site, that you would perhaps be able to make a decision today. Maybe not. Next slide. Again, this is the view with the building behind those trees in its dark color, which is not visible really at all from the water. Is that the last slide, Brad? I believe it is. Okay, so that concludes my remarks. Thank you for the time to show you that stuff. We have Troy Wolf with us today, who is going to be building this project for us. The owner is present as well. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to respond.
Thank you very much, Mr. McDonald. And may I say that was a very well prepared and well presented overview of the project that you have in mind. It certainly did make it easy for me, and I'm sure the other members of the committee, to get a better idea of what you have planned. At this time, I would ask if there's anyone else, either the applicant or anyone in attendance, that would like to add additional comments to what Mr. McDonald presented so far. Please go ahead.
It's Sarah Paul, and thank you for the time today, and thank you, Ian, for your presentation. And I'd just similarly like to echo Ian's comments, or if we can help to arrange a site visit if it is needed, happy to do that to make sure that we can get you safely down the stairs, but certainly the road to the cottage is plowed year round. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this application? If so, please go ahead. Okay. Seeing none, I will bring the application before the committee. And we will begin with Member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll echo your comments. Thank you to Mr. McDonald, very thorough presentation. Also to the point of Ms. Paul, where she said the stairs could be cleared, leads me to support the planning department for a deferral of maybe at least a month or 1 month, if the possibility of getting the stairs cleared and the road is cleared, just to support the planning department and avoid any possible miscommunications, although I doubt there are any. So I would support the deferral. If you could get the stairs cleared, I'd be happy to attend.
Thank you, Member Matthews. Member Jarvis.
Echo comments made by Chair and by Representative Matthews. And if Mr. Matthews can offer me a ride, I'd probably come over as well. The thoroughness of this report is excellent. I really appreciate that in many, many different ways. I think it's really important, though, from a planning standpoint, that we have word from the planning department. They've seen this. Again, I have this issue over snow cover and making things difficult to see. Despite the pictures that have been presented, they aren't the pictures presented by the planning department. They are presented by the applicant. And I really want to support the planning department on this. I wouldn't mind having a cottage like this. Lovely design, nice setup. But again, I would prefer to support the planning department in their deferral.
Thank you, Member Jarvis. Member Demke.
Mr. Chair, I can't, they stole all my thunder, but for someone who's not a builder or anything, Mr. McDonald's presentation really helped understand some of the stuff that has to go into this. So appreciate that. If we can get in there, that'd be great. But so far I would see no problem if the planning department was ready to go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Demke. Member Caddo.
Yeah, great presentation, really great. I support the deferral.
Member Ferguson.
I'm the same, great presentation. I love the plans, the layout, especially the flat roof structure. However, you know, it's always been our rule that we do not approve minor variance apps unless the planning department and the committee has had the opportunity to go out and complete a site inspection. So I'm in favor of deferral until we can do that.
Thank you, Member Ferguson. Member Kuchar.
Thank you, Chair Hill. I see that one of our guests is arm in arm, and I just want to express my dare I say condolences in regards to the fire that you had, and I hope not to set you back too far. And further, Mr. McDonald, I will admit to being a great admirer of your work. Your place on Go Home Bay, I think, is a magnificent structure, and I'd love one day to visit it. Actually, yes, that's sort of a backwards. Please invite me someday. I've already asked your wife a couple of years ago, but nothing came of it. So I'll keep my fingers crossed. But that aside, I think this is a great structure. Based on, other than the site visit, I think I'm entirely prepared to approve it. I would love to make a condition of our approval, though I'm sure that's not allowed, that the green roof should go on, because I think green roofs are a wonderful thing. But so I would strongly encourage that if the owners are so inclined. But I agree with everyone else that without the planning department being on site, no matter how great your presentation was, we can't, excuse me, we can't approve it. I do know once or twice in the past we've approved, have approved applications with an additional condition that subject to planning department visit. But that doesn't cover our committee, and there are a number of our committee members who definitely would rather see it before they also approved it. So I think I agree with the deferral, but I strongly suspect that once everybody's seen it, there won't be any issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Kuchar. If there are no further questions or comments, I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment defers the minor variance application A21-02 to zoning bylaw 2014-75 for 93 Lagoon Road, pending the completion of a site visit. This motion is moved by Bill Demke and seconded by Colin Caddo. All those in favor, please raise your hand. The motion is carried. Thank you. The application is deferred. The planning department will advise when we'll see it next on the agenda. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the number of applications for today. I would ask that the moderator can either remove the people that are there, or we'll move on to the next section of the meeting, which involves the minutes from our previous meeting. And I have a motion to approve the minutes of our January 15th, 2021 on the minutes of January 15th? Okay, seeing none, I will read the motion. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves the minutes of January 15, 2021 as circulated. This motion is moved by Mike Ferguson and seconded by Steve Jarvis. All those in favor, please raise your hand. The motion is carried. And our final motion for the day is a motion to adjourn. I'll read the motion. Please be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment does adjourn at 11:10 a.m. until March 12, 2021 at 10 a.m. or at the call of the chair. This motion is moved by Peter Kutsier, seconded by Bill Demkew. All those in favor, please raise your hand. The motion is carried.